Colorado is pretty good. I will admit that I'm wrong. I think Colorado is a pretty good team. At least ahead of schedule from what I expected them to be at. I'm not going to change my expectations off of week one. Mainly because we are kind of in a spot where it's tough to project how good this team can be. I said that they could make a bowl, and that was a bold prediction for me because I kind of had them at 6 wins. And I still, looking at their schedule, look at them at 6 to 7 wins just because I think when we talk about Colorado, and I'll break down the TCU game, I'll break down TCU side because I honestly think not a lot of people are talking about the TCU side of things. When we talk about Colorado, objectively, I think that they have taken the next step of expectations when they play like Nebraska, Arizona State, Arizona. Those are like the below average Pac-12 teams with some bright spots. And honestly, they probably would have beaten UCLA if UCLA didn't put in Dante Moore, who's their starting quarterback from now on. I don't know why Ethan Garbers got sent into the fire because he got pulled out real quickly last night if you were watching late night Pac-12 play. But outside of that, Colorado's road is going to start off really well. And I hope they continue the momentum. I want to make it clear. There's going to be some things I say that are negative about Colorado or things that I want to see more of. And I will still stand on the fact that I think they get the 6 to 7 wins. And that is a major accomplishment for a team that was arguably, if not was, the worst Power 5 team in the country. So I want Deion to, I want them to improve. I want them to be one of the best teams in the country. I just didn't think it would happen this year. And if I'm wrong, I will stand on it. But I'm not going to change my entire notion after week one. With that being said, though, they looked really damn good. Their short passing game with Shedeur Sanders, he was able to accurately and quickly get the ball out of his hands. Against a 3-down lineman set, their offensive line looked really good. And the reason why I mentioned what TCU was running on the defense side of the ball is it was a lighter box. So I just want to be able to see if this offensive line was just good because it was a weaker box, or are they going to look good against 4-down lineman sets or even 5-down lineman sets or even more blitzing packages and see how they handle it. Because honestly, the running game for Colorado wasn't great. Yes, obviously their running back got 4 touchdowns and they had a bunch of guys that got 100 yards passing. But their offensive line didn't get as much push as I would hope against a lighter set. But to be fair, TCU was pretty solid against the run last year. This year they had the less players because they had a ton of guys go to the NFL or graduate. But that scheme, they were really good. Their linebackers are really quick. When you put a 3-down lineman set like that, you have to have really good linebackers play the gaps. You don't know who the guy is going to blitz from next. So I'll give Colorado credit there. I can't go out after week one and just be like, oh, their offensive line's really good. I just want to see it against a couple different more formations before I go out and say that. I can say Shedeur Sanders is really good. I can say that he is as advertised, and I think he's a really damn good quarterback. Speaking of being as advertised, seeing Travis Hunter live in person, that's a top 5 draft pick, man. I've never said anything ill of Travis Hunter. The dude's just a baller. I don't know how long he could keep up playing both sides, but I think as long as he's allowed to and as long as he wants to, he's going to be an impact player on both sides of the field. The dude's ridiculous. I think that his receiving is almost underrated, but not anymore because the dude dropped 100 yards and got a pick. And there was a couple times that he probably could have put up more stats. Like, the dude is a ridiculous ball player. Now, let's talk about outside of that. I mean, Jimmy Horn looked good. I mean, you just got to get that guy in space and he's going to make a play. Edwards looked really good if you get him in space. I think Colorado's game plan, they came out prepared against a team that was going to try to kind of confuse Shedeur Sanders, and he dotted up a zone coverage defense. I don't know if TCU has the players that they did in the national title, like specifically on the defense side of the ball, especially for a defense that was definitely bend, don't break. They don't have Hodges Tomlinson anymore. They don't have a lot of these guys on that defense. So I do want to say, like, if you go on my channel, I didn't have TCU ranked. I didn't think TCU deserved to be ranked. Unless you were going to really account the fact that they were in the national title last year, you don't see a lot of the same players on that roster. So I didn't really see them as the same guy. You're going to see a lot on ESPN that Colorado beat the team that went to the national title. Objectively, that is factual. Like, the team that went to the national title, TCU, played Colorado and Colorado won. But that's not the same team. They didn't even have the same quarterback, running back, a couple wide receivers, tight end, a good chunk of the offensive line, like a good chunk of the defense. So it's a completely different team. I didn't think that the transfers was going to work out as well for TCU. Not to mention they don't have Garrett Riley. So I had TCU going 7-5, 6-6 this year. So I'm not trying to say that to discredit what Colorado did. If you want to say they beat a ranked team, objectively that's true. I wouldn't have ranked TCU, but they went into a tough environment. I mean, TCU is rocking. I will say, I will make one side note about Fort Worth and TCU's stadium. Beautiful campus. Beautiful campus. It is funny, though, that you have a better hype video for your mascot than the players, because the entrance kind of felt flat. And the student section is a solid student section. I don't know if it's like a underrated one in the country. But outside of that, let's flip to the other side. Let's talk about Colorado's defense and then TCU's offense. I could play the game of Chandler Morris if he made this play or if he made this better decision. There's 2 red zone picks for TCU. Obviously, I could play the game of, if that happens, then TCU would have won the game. There was also a bunch of drop passes by Colorado or some plays that would have made Colorado's score a little bit better. That's just comes with the game of football. It's just what happens. But I will say, Chandler Morris did not look good for a guy that has been with that program for now, 2 years? He just looked very shaky to start. Not something like Shedeur clearly looked like the more poised quarterback. I don't know why they moved away from running the ball. Their new offensive coordinator had just very questionable decisions where he seemed like he wanted to be a little bit more pass happy when the running game against that Colorado's front seven. And I think that is the biggest concern to take away from the Colorado game and what I want to see improved. Their front seven does look very weak. It objectively was not getting much push and wasn't pressuring the quarterback as much unless they were sending like 6-7 guys. The secondary is as advertised. I mean, the safeties played really well. You have Travis Hunter out there, so that's just one side of the field that's always going to be locked down. I think that this secondary is going to be the strength of this defense in a pass-happy league in the Pac-12. So all that being said, I just want us to understand week 1 does not dictate what someone's season is going to look like. Let's look at last year. Just a couple of examples from one season ago. Florida beat Utah. We all thought Anthony Richardson was going to be Cam Newton. They didn't do that. And then Utah went to go win the Pac-12 back-to-back years. Kansas State lost. They went to go win the Big 12. We thought LSU's program was crumbling under Brian Kelly. They went and won the SEC West after losing to Florida State. What else? Illinois lost to, Indiana in their week 2 because they had a week 0 game last year. They went on to have one of the best seasons in their entire past 2 decades. So I'm taking it with a grain of salt. I'm happy for Colorado. Did I think they were going to win against TCU? No. I was wrong. For all the Colorado fans and for Deion, for what it's worth, I was wrong. I underestimated y'all. I will stand on that. And I am excited to see what y'all got. Travis Hunter is probably going to end up in New York. Just off of PR alone. The dude's a baller. But I'm very happy for these guys. I just want to see it moving forward. These are my thoughts on the Colorado TCU game. Thank you so much for watching the video. Let me know what your thoughts are. What do you think Colorado could be? What do you think their ceiling is? And is there any concerns about TCU? They brought in a lot of transfers. Is TCU going to fall back into the middle of the pack of the Big 12 when we thought that they potentially could be the new front runners in a loaded Big 12 that is getting completely reformed? Not to mention, the entire Big 12 had a really rough week 1. That might be a video of itself. But subscribe, like, let me know your thoughts, and have a wonderful day.